everybody, and welcome to Jay's Really Good Dungeons & Dragons Show, Episode 7, and I'm back in my home! That's right, I was able to get back my old place after a successful lawsuit against the owner of a feral chihuahua, and I was able to even save 2 of my cats. I hope that you'll see them throughout the video. Also, rest in peace to Salmon. I don't know where she went. This episode, I thought we'd do a special holiday buyer's guide where I could talk about all the cool D&D books. Now that Toss has come out, you might be curious, which D&D books do I really need in order to be a great dungeon master? And I'm going to help you figure out which books are absolutely vital to becoming a great dungeon master and which ones maybe you can pass up. So let's get started right away. First up, let's go to the Player's Handbook. Don't let D&D Beyond try to trick you. The basic rules are free, and every DM gets them, so you should get them. Next up is the Player's Handbook. The Player's Handbook has all the basic rules that you might need, including classes and subclasses, so this one's a no-brainer. You gotta pick this one up. It's gonna have all the rules that you need to play Dungeons & Dragons. Next up is the Dungeon Master's Guide. The Dungeon Master's Guide, you would think, has all the rules you need to play Dungeons & Dragons, but it doesn't, because those are in the Player's Handbook. Instead, this has got all the rules that you don't need to play Dungeons & Dragons. It's other rules that you might never use, or maybe sometimes you will use them. And people are always like, you should read the Dungeon Master's Guide, because there's some great tips in there. But it's boring, but you should still buy it. Next up is the Monster Manual. This one's got all the spooky fellas that you're going to be punching and bopping, as well as some handsome fellas that you're going to be romancing, and other fellas that you could maybe just have a conversation with, you know, see how you're vibing, see how the atmosphere's going. You know, are you feeling it? Or are you feeling this? Are you feeling this? I'm feeling this. So this one's a no-brainer. Gotta buy it. So those are the core 3. Now we're getting into exciting new content. Next up is the Sword Coast Adventures Guide. This book's trash. Don't buy this one. Next up is Volo's Guide to Monsters. Volo's Guide to Monsters is full of new and exciting monsters that you can use to play Dungeons & Dragons, as well as expanded information and lore on old monsters that you might have used before, giving you handy tips like what their layers should be like, and sometimes even giving you cool things like maps of special layers, so that's nice. Additionally, there are races in here, like the Aasimar, the Fearbolt, Goliath, Kenku, Lizard, and also, here's monsters? Ooh, these guys get just called monsters? They don't get names? What? I wonder what monsters go in here. Oh, bugbears, goblins, orcs, and kobolds. Oh, yikes. They're just monsters? They're not people? Huh. That seems normal and fine. This is a great book, and you should definitely pick it up. It's a no-brainer. Next up, we gotta get Xanathar's Guide to Everything. Are you sick and tired of the over 50 classes and subclasses combinations available to you in the Player's Handbook? Well, now you've got another 30 to play around with, so you definitely want to pick this one up, because 50, 60 options that's sounding like my kind of speed. Next up is the Turtle Package. This book's for perverts, and I don't like it. Don't buy it. Mordenkainen's Foamy Toes. Now, this one's full of both monsters and interesting lore about the races, and you even get the Githyanki and Githzerai, so that's pretty cool. How can I say no to more monsters to throw at my players to spook them into being good all the time? Next up is Wayfinder's Guide to Eberron. This is an outdated tome, and so it doesn't count. The Guildmeister's Guide to Ravnica is a really cool book, and I think that the Magic the Gathering settings actually have the best monster design in 5th edition, and that's the truth. So you should probably pick this one up if you need more cool monsters, although this book's not mostly monsters, it's just like partially monsters. There's also like a whole setting for Ravnica in here if you want to play your game there. If you really like Magic the Gathering, if you like a big city and you want to play a game in a big city planet, this is the place to go. Next up, you've got Acquisitions Incorporated. Now, this one might seem like, oh, you could probably skip this one, but it's got fun and interesting spells in it, as well as cool Acquisitions Incorporated stuff. So if you like Acquisitions Incorporated, you should buy it, and you should buy it. You should buy this one as well. Next up is Eberron. After they made a brief detour into Wayfinders, they eventually made this guide to Eberron. If you plan on playing a game in Eberron, this is your definitive 5th edition source that you should definitely pick up. If you don't plan on playing a game in Eberron, your players probably will still demand some of the options in this book be made available to them, and so you'll end up having to buy it anyway. And there's cool monsters, so why not? Next up, the Sage's Advice Compendium is a sneaky trick that D&D Beyond is trying to play on you. This isn't a book at all. This is just free stuff that they put out. It's advice. It's a sneaky trick. This is Mordenkainen's Fiend Folio. This was made as a special fundraising tool for Extra Life. It's got cool monsters, and you know you should pick that up. Next up is Explorer's Guide to Wield a Mountain. This is from my father and my secret mentor, Matthew Critical Role. You can pick this book up and learn all about his cool and exciting setting called Exandria. And not only that, but there are cool new classes in here, new spells, and there is a lot of maps, and it's a good book. It's a very good book and a good setting, and you're probably going to want it. Your players are definitely going to want to play Echo Knight and Chronergist, and you're going to want those new cool spells. So you should buy that one as well. Next up is The Mythic Odysseys of Theros. If you're playing in Theros, you probably need this book. If you like to play in ancient Greece, then this is a great book to reference for inspiration for that kind of play. But if you don't plan to play in Theros, you should still buy this book because it's got really cool monsters that I think are some of the best designs in 5th edition. Like I said, all the Magic the Gathering books have good monsters, so still buy it. Buy this one too. And next up, we've got Tasha's Big Pot of All the Stuff. Tasha's Big Spot of all the stuff. You thought those other 75 classes were important and cool and enough. Now you've got another 25, so that's nearly 100 subclasses, classes, and stuff. And now you've got the cool new Artificer class, which is also in the Eberron book, but now you can buy it again. And this time it's got errata, so it's even better. So honestly, how could you ever say no? Gotta pick this one up. That's all of them. So now that we know which ones you definitely need to pick up and which ones you don't, let's take a look at what you'll be paying for these. Alright, so for all these books added in, there are 14 books in total, and the price is $399! And it's never been easier to spend $400 with D&D Beyond. But don't worry, right now they've got a special code for DDB15. You can apply the coupon code and get $59 off, so $339.88. That's one of my surviving cats! But she's not the star. Pay attention to me! So, for $339, you can get $399 worth of D&D content and finally be a good dungeon master. Oh my god, Salmon! You're back! Well, with the miraculous return of my cat, I guess it's time to wrap up another episode of Jay's Really Good Dungeons & Dragons show. This has been another great episode, so if you enjoyed my buyer's guide and all the information I brought to you, then simply like and subscribe. And if you wanna, you can also follow me in virtual reality, so that way I can feel safe from all the perverts.